And you can see now we are on a C grade. So if you get the first 8 questions of this exam absolutely correct, which very few people can do, but if you do manage it, then you would be on C grade by the end of question 8. Pause the video now and have a go. Now, if you've gone through any past papers, these are quite a staple of exam papers. You get the algebra questions where it normally involves brackets and occasionally solving, rearranging. So let's go through this. I'm going to draw it out, it's probably easier. So when it says expand, it means multiply out the brackets. I do smiles and rainbows, but loads of teachers teach different ways. And so here I need to do 3 times 2y. So I'm going to start off doing 3 times 2, which is 6. Now that y isn't multiplying with anything, so I just need to put that at the end there, so it's 6y. Now when I multiply the 3 by the 5, that's the problem. So many people say 3 times 5. That there is not a 5. If you think of that as a 5, you will make a mistake for probably different questions. Most people would get this right, but you need to start seeing that as a minus 5. Some people say, oh, it's a take away 5. No, it's not. It's a minus 5. So it's 3 times minus 5. Now to do that, first of all, you think, well, 3 is positive, and that minus 5 is obviously negative. If you've got a positive times a negative, your answer will be negative. So the first thing to do is the negative sign there. And then 3 times 5, which is 15. And that's 1 mark. Now when it says factorise, it just means put into brackets. So it wants you to put these into brackets. So the best place to start is just putting a set of brackets down. And try and leave them wide enough for my big handwriting. Okay, looking at these, they have 2 things in common. They've got a number we can divide out, and they've got a letter we can divide out. So let's look at the number first. It's 8 and 4. Well, both of those are in the 4 times table. Now they are both in the 2 times table as well, but if you put a 2 on the outside here, you will lose a mark. You have to find the biggest times table that they're both in. So I'm going to put 4. Now that is x squared, which is 2 x's multiplied together. It's x times x. That there is only 1x that's multiplying by the 4 and the y. So the maximum I can divide out of both of those is x. Make sure you do your x's as 2 semicircles rather than the time sign. Okay, now when I put in the answer inside the brackets, what I need to do is make sure I just look at the numbers first and then deal with the letters. So 8 divided by 4 is 2. And lots of people find it helpful to think about it as 4 times what is 8. 4 times 2 is 8. X times what is x squared? Well, x times x is x squared. So it becomes 2x. Now, this next one, 4 divided by 4. So 4 times what is 4? Well, the answer is 1. But I'm not going to put the 1 there yet, because if it's just 1 and a letter, we don't write it. So I'm going to remember there's a 1 there. X divided by x is 1, so x times 1 is x. And again, 1 times 1, the one I'm imagining or remembering is there, and the 1 from the x divided by the x. Well, 1 times 1 is just 1, so there's still a 1 there. And this y, well, there's nothing dividing the y, so that y will just stay there. So instead of writing 1y, I'm just going to write y. So the answer would be 4x bracket 2x plus y. Now you can always check your answer here by multiplying it out. 4 times 2 is 8, x times x is x squared, 4 times, well, 1 is 4, x times, well, there's nothing there, so it's just x, and y at the end. And so we get the 8x squared plus 4xy. So we know that's the right answer. And it's worth spending some time at the end of the exam just multiplying out anything you factorise to make sure it is correct. This last question's quite tricky. Let's have a look at it. So if I get the highlight, oh, I've just got rid of all the answers, but you can see that. Okay, so here, if I highlight this bit here, a lot of people will have trouble with what this means. This means, well, to some people, over 10, which it does, but think of it when you're doing these types of questions as divide by 10, because it actually means divide by 10. So this is saying t equals g times h, and then all of that divided by 10. Now, a method that a lot of people like is to draw two lines down the middle here. Some teachers like it, some teachers don't. And sort of stopped prematurely there. Okay. And the method is that if you want h to be the subject, which is over here, you need to get rid of everything that's around the h. You need to move it. When you say get rid of it, you need to move it to the other side. You need it over here rather than next to the h, so you're just left with the h. If you've got a fraction, which we do here, you need to deal with that first. Now that's divide by 10, so you're always thinking, well, what's the opposite of divide by 10? The opposite of divide by 10 is times by 10. So we're going to times 10 both sides of this equation. So if I times that by 10, we're doing the opposite of divide by 10, and it just gets rid of it. So on this side, we just end up with GH, because we've got rid of that by doing the opposite of it. T times 10 is just going to be 10t. 10 times t, or just 10t. Now we've still got g on this side, and that g is timesing the h by g. So that's a times g. So to get rid of that, I need to do the opposite of times g, which is divide by g. Okay, so when I do the opposite of what this g is doing, it's timesing. So when I do the opposite of it, I'm going to end up with just the h. And 10t divided by g. So we've got 10t. Instead of doing the divide sign, we just do it as a fraction. So that says 10t divided by g. Now I can just swap these around the other way. So it becomes h equals 10t divided by g. And that's the answer. Let's have a look at the mark scheme. And let's get rid of this. Okay, so first question was just 6y minus 15, that's 1 mark. The second one, it was a bit forgiving. It allowed you to have 2 instead of a 4 and still gave you a mark. In fact, you could have just divided the x out and got the mark, or you could have just divided the 4 out and got the mark, and there's a few other things you could have done. But the best thing is to get the right answer for 2 marks. And for this last one, 10t over g gives you the 2 marks. Now there are different ways of doing it with reverse flow diagrams. For me, doing the 2 lines down the middle and just doing the same thing to both sides is the most durable way if you're looking at getting any grade higher than a C. The reverse flow diagrams, things like that, don't work for all situations, yet the 2 lines down and the balance method basically will work for all situations, including when x is on both sides.